So, guys, I think this might be the most interesting aspect of this game for me to see the running back rotation for Ohio State between, in particular, Master Teague and Trey Sermon. Is there any reason to believe that Teague's not going to be fully healthy, fully ready for whatever role he needs to play?
I think he probably would have been okay a week or two ago, to be quite honest. I mean, he's just attacked the rehab. I mean, he stayed in Columbus during the whole coronavirus departure, head home. He went through his rehab. He's just really just one of these physical specimens that, for as flukish of the play, during practice that he got hurt on, I never had any doubt that he would not be ready when it came time to start the season. I think he will be your 1A, and then you'll have a 1B in terms of Trey Sermon. But I think just Teague's familiarity with the program and everything else will probably give him the edge to be trotting out there with Justin Fields, Wyatt Davis et al. For that first offensive series.
I agree with Kevin. I think that, in my opinion, I think if Teague's healthy, he would be, in my mind, the guy that would start the game. But Sermon, I think, is going to play quite a bit. I think he's been very impressive for them in the time since he came to Columbus in mid-June. It's really funny the way this all worked out. I mean, we were all at practice back on March 3rd or whatever day that was when Master Teague was injured. I suppose he must have taken a bad step. It was a non-contact day. It was the very first day of spring drills, and immediately after practice, word came out that something bad had happened to Master Teague. I mean, nobody would have touched him, and to my way of understanding. And then it was said by Kevin Wilson it would be 6 full months to get him back, which would be about September the 3rd. And the way I understand it, he was back and doing a lot of activity by mid-August. And Ryan Day said yesterday, kind of marveled at how quickly Master Teague was able to get back in there and he was ready to go. And so now here we are almost to the end of October. He said, 5-6 more weeks to really get comfortable. I mean, you come back from an injury where you don't run for 3 or 4 months or 5 months. Just that idea of, okay, is the next step I take going to be my last one, or am I going to go back under the knife? And I think that does take some time to get used to and to trust your body that, okay, I can't injure myself again in such a manner just by going through normal exercise and then getting back out there and popping some pads and being tackled to the ground. I mean, that is going to be the ultimate litmus test, I think, for him. For Trey Sermon, the name Trey Sermon wasn't even mentioned until the day Master Teague got injured. And they were like, okay, Mark Pantoni, go find us a running back. And they waded into the transfer portal and Trey Sermon. I don't know if there were some back channels that went to Trey Sermon and said, if you were to maybe put your name into the portal, there might be a place for you at Ohio State, because that came together, in warp speed, and he was a Buckeye within a couple, 2-3 weeks. I think it happened pretty quick, and none of it had happened until after Teague had been injured. So think about it in that context. He's at Ohio State because Teague got hurt. So now they're going to split the job, it seems like to me. And, I have no issue with that. I think what we've seen in the past with Weber and Dobbins is you get into a game in the fourth quarter, the guy who's running the hardest, the guy who hasn't fumbled, the guy who wants it the most on that day has shown you that. Go with that player, start the fourth quarter, and let the chips fall where they may. And so I think it's the best of both worlds. I think Sermon's also an outstanding pass catcher out of the backfield. I want to see if Fields takes full advantage of that. He did hit Dobbins, as we saw last year in the Clemson game, several times out of the backfield for first downs, one after another after another. Okay, you're going to take away options 1, 2, and 3. Well, here's option 4 that you didn't cover out in the flat, and it's a 15-yard gain. It's a first down. We'll take that. So, I'm excited to see how that tandem brings. And again, another reason for Ohio State fans to tune in. People are, I don't know if they're slow to get excited about it or they're gun shy about this, that kind of like Lucy Van Pelt's going to pull that football away from him, right as Charlie Brown's about ready to kick it. But it seems like she's keeping the ball down there at least this Saturday. So, I mean, we're to what day is it? Wednesday at 3:30, and they haven't waved it off yet. So I think we're all systems go, and we'll know better when Nebraska lands its plane at Port Columbus and is doing their walkthrough at Ohio Stadium if they are, and maybe we'll know then if we're a little closer to actually seeing football.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch that comment because as soon as something happens, then certain people blame other people for making comments, and then it comes to pass. But I know Wisconsin and Illinois get on the field Friday night, so as soon as we get somebody on the field, I'm going to feel a whole lot better about this whole deal.
Why do I have the feeling it's going to be like the Big Ten tournament on whatever day that was, Thursday, when, what was it, Indiana and somebody were out on the court, or I don't know if it was Indiana. It was two teams were out on the court, and they had gone, you know how they go back in with like a half hour to go or 20 minutes to go, and they come back out with 10 minutes to go for like the last little bit of warm-ups, and they were in that interim period, and they told them, well, we're banging it. It's over. So, yeah, I mean, we don't want to get that close and have it pulled away. But, again, we don't like her very much, but I think it was Nicole Auerbach or may have been her comrade Dinich who had the tweet that there were 43,000 tests done for Big Ten football so far, with like a less than 0.5% positivity rate. And some of those were false positives that were disavowed upon the more stringent test. If you get a positive on the daily antigen quick result test, I think they give you, it's going to be a DSR test or something that is a little more stringent. And even some of the positives that the Big Ten has had have been ruled out. So to me, it sounds like all 14 schools are systems go as of right now.
Systems go as of right now for week 1. The Big Ten does have the most strict policies when it comes to if there are positive tests and contact tracing that would eliminate other players. It's a 10-day to 14-day situation for the other conferences. The Big Ten has said, what are we at, 21 days?
On with the extra week for the heart ailment and for onboarding back up to game speed and everything else and yada, yada, yada.
So that can derail a season in a hurry.
If it's the wrong guy, it certainly can. Yeah, or guys. I mean, you wipe out an entire linebacker group.